once again to the video. In this one, I thought I would take a look at Grand Prix, Formula One Grand Prix, that have been held in Las Vegas, with the Las Vegas Grand Prix coming up. Now, there are not many, as I'm sure you're aware, and it's technically two different circuits, but because they're both within Las Vegas, I'm putting both of those circuits into this video. 2 races at one circuit and 2 races on another circuit. So let's begin. It's just 4 years in total. We're going to go all the way back to 1981. I don't remember this Grand Prix, but I do remember the 1982 one. Anyway, in 1981 and 1982, there was a Las Vegas Grand Prix, or rather, a Grand Prix held. Let's just make sure that focus is good. Is it good? Oh, wait. Gibblies. 2 races held in Las Vegas, but they were actually called the Caesars Palace Grand Prix. Now that was because they were held in Caesars Palace car park. Can you believe that? Caesars Palace Hotel and Casino car park. And if you look at the layout of the circuit, it's very zigzag backwards and forwards, as if they're actually following the arrows, the car parking arrows, this way only, you know. I suppose when they finished the race, they just had to follow the exit sign, I assume. But yes, it's something that's always bemused me ever since the first time I found out decades ago. Because I remember the 1982 one, but I don't remember knowing that it was in Caesars Palace car park. I just remember Alboreto winning the race. That's the only thing I remember about it. If I did know that it was in the car park back then, I had forgotten it. And when I found that information out, sort of probably in the late 80s, early 90s, I was amazed that they held a Grand Prix in a car park. But the very first one, they couldn't call it the USA Grand Prix West, by the way. Back then they would often have a USA Grand Prix, a USA Grand Prix West, and a USA Grand Prix East. Just like now we have 3 American Grand Prix and they can't all be called the US Grand Prix. It was the same back then as well. So, but the USA Grand Prix was cancelled that year at Watkins Glen due to financial problems. So we only had the USA Grand Prix West and the Grand Prix in Las Vegas, but they couldn't call that Grand Prix West as well, of course. Both of them are in the west of the country, so because the USA Grand Prix West was in Long Beach, California. So you can't have 2 US Grand Prix Wests. So they had to call it, they could have called it the Las Vegas Grand Prix, but they didn't for some reason. They called it the Caesars Palace Grand Prix. And it was won by Alan Jones, the Australian, who, in his Williams, who won the World Championship the previous year. Now that race is interesting because going into that race, Jones' teammate, the Argentine Carlos Reutemann, was leading the World Championship by 1 point from Brazilian Nelson Piquet. So we had an Argentinian and a Brazilian at the top of the championship, separated by 1 point. And Alan Jones and Carlos Reutemann did not get on at all. There was a little bit of friction over team orders throughout the year. I think, from what I remember, not from the time, I don't remember from the time, but from what I've heard since, I think Jones expected more of a sort of number 1 in the team position because he was a defending champion, whereas Reutemann didn't want that, basically. So yeah, there was friction within the team. So Jones was not going to do anything to help Reutemann in the race. Jones just drove away and won the race. Reutemann slipped down, basically. He fell down through the field. Piquet was low down in the field, but Piquet came up and managed to finish, I think, 2 places above Reutemann. So instead of Reutemann leading the championship by 1 point going into the final round, at the end of the race, this was the final round of the championship. I didn't mention that, did I? At the end of the race, Piquet was crowned world champion by 1 point from Carlos Reutemann. 50 points to 49. Piquet having won 3 races and Reutemann having won 2 races. So in 1982, I should also mention who was second and third in that race, which I had to look up. I'm not going to remember things like that. Alain Prost was second in his Renault, and Bruno Giacomelli was third in his Alfa Romeo, so that's a good performance by Giacomelli. I remember him, but I don't remember him ever securing a podium. Maybe that was his only one. In 1982, this is the one that I have just a little mental image of Michele Alboreto in his green Tyrrell, surprisingly winning the race. 2 L's, isn't it? Yeah. And that was a shock, Alboreto winning that race. It was a good performance, though. I mean, he was sort of like at the top of the field most of the way through. I only recently saw, I don't know, 6 months ago or something, I saw the highlights package. The actual BBC Grand Prix programme, sort of half an hour long programme. I saw it recently. Probably for the first time since 1982. Because I do remember that image of Alboreto crossing the line and winning the race and everyone being surprised. John Watson was second in the race and Keke Rosberg was 5th. And because Keke Rosberg was 5th, he secured the championship. He won the championship by, I think, 5 points from joint second place Didier Pironi and John Watson. 39 points each. Didier Pironi had been out of action for a few Grand Prix, though, because he had a big accident. I forget what race that was. Was it the German Grand Prix? Didier Pironi had his big accident. Anyway, so the result from this, because it was the last race of the championship again, the result, 5th place for Rosberg, gave him the championship. And it was the first time since 1958, that a driver had won the World Championship only winning 1 race. By only winning 1 race. Now, I know that Phil Hill was world champion in when was he world champion? 1961, wasn't it? And in his career, I think Phil Hill only ever won 3 Grand Prix, but maybe 2 of them were in that year. I think he only won 3 Grand Prix. Anyway, Rosberg clinched the championship, only 1 win in the whole of 1982. But yeah, it was a good win by Alboreto, one of his 5 Grand Prix victories. I think it's his first as well. The other 4 were all in a Ferrari. And who was second? Yeah, so John Watson was second, as I said. Eddie Cheever was third. So they were the 2 Caesars Palace Grand Prix races. And then we go to 2023, all the way to 2023. It's a different circuit. Now, I've been to Vegas, and they have the circuit mostly on the strip, and it's really weird watching the Grand Prix and seeing areas where I would have walked around, and now there's a Grand Prix taking place there. But yeah, 2023, I remember that being a ding-dong battle between Verstappen and Leclerc, and I remember thinking, this is great, we want it to be an interesting race to attract the crowds. The amount of disturbance that the Grand Prix has caused, we want it to be a good one. And I remember it being a good one. Verstappen and Leclerc putting on a good show. Verstappen won it in the end from Leclerc, with Perez in 3rd place, securing 2nd in the championship. But Perez looks fantastic now as a Verstappen teammate, doesn't he? He looks amazing. I wonder if Red Bull want Perez back. I wouldn't be surprised. Leclerc was on pole for this particular race, but of course this is now the Las Vegas Grand Prix. These two were the Caesars Palace Grand Prix. This one is the Las Vegas Grand Prix, actually called the Las Vegas. I don't know why they couldn't have called these two the Las Vegas Grand Prix. That's very strange. Anyway, so yeah, I didn't know that actually until I looked it up just now. I didn't know that these two were not called the Las Vegas Grand Prix. I thought they were, I couldn't remember, and I thought they were either called the Las Vegas Grand Prix or the USA West Grand Prix, and maybe Long Beach wasn't a Grand Prix in these 2 years, so they might have had a USA East Grand Prix in New York or something. I don't know. Well, Watkins Glen, I think, is that in New York State, actually? Or is it near to New York City? I can't remember. Anyway, it's very confusing with the Grand Prix in America, I tell you. But yeah, they called it the Caesars Palace Grand Prix, which I didn't know until about 10 minutes ago. So that's interesting. So 2024, and we see Russell pretty much dominate from start to finish. Well, it's actually Mercedes, wasn't it? It was the Mercedes that dominated, because Hamilton came through from about 5th or 6th place to eventually finish 2nd. That was where all the entertainment came from, Hamilton coming through the field to finish 2nd to his teammate. Russell started on pole position and just drove away to win. I think they're thinking of him as one of the favourites for this year's race as well, just simply because of what Mercedes did, what Russell did, and what Mercedes did last year. But we shall see. So there you have it, and there it is. It's very short but complicated. Caesars Palace Grand Prix, Caesars Palace Grand Prix, Las Vegas Grand Prix, Las Vegas Grand Prix. Different circuits, not really circuits, a car park and the streets, basically. The streets of Las Vegas and a car park. Very strange. Anyway, there you go. I realised I didn't do the Interlagos one, but I don't do these whiteboard recap on winners from circuits for every single circuit. I haven't done it. I will do eventually, but not all in the same year. So next year I'll probably do Interlagos. That's a much longer one as well, because there's lots of different versions of the Interlagos circuit that have been used going back decades. It's complicated. Since 1990 it's the same circuit, but back in the 70s I think there were different versions of Interlagos. Anyway, I'll leave that for next year. So there you go. Thank you for watching, thank you for listening. Let me just rub this off. If you'd like to subscribe, please do so, or leave a comment, or what else? Or do something else. What's it like the video? Subscribe, comment on the video. If you'd like to leave a tip on the thanks button below the video. But basically, thank you for watching and listening. And I'll see you on the very next video, whatever it may be about. Thank you and goodbye for now.